Terre des Lacs. And it's actually written by somebody who was a Swiss national called Curie, who was actually employed by the Dutch East India Company and proceeded to have a career which more or less follows the trajectory of a lot of those presences. So Curie was in Asia, he was notably in Indonesia. He had an interest in South Africa where he spent some time, but eventually he left the company and founded his own town in South Carolina in the United States called Purysville. He was obsessed with certain things, and our colleague Carlo Ginsberg has written a very interesting article about him where he points to how Curie was obsessed with biblical exegesis, but he was also interested in the slaves, in the slave trade, and also something which Carlo does not mention in his title is that he was a oenologue, and he wanted to actually produce wine. And that has to do with latitude, because he had this idea that any wine which can be produced in a certain latitude north can also be produced in the same latitude south. So you can see how you can then move things from Europe into South Africa, for instance. Right? So he was actually a precursor of the New World wines, which of course exploded in the 1970s and 1980s. Right, so just to give you a very brief chronology of what I'm talking about, the Dutch begin their studies in the 1580s. In the 1590s, they found their first companies for exploration of Asia. These companies are fused into a single company, the Verenigde Oost-Indische Compagnie, the VOC, in 1602. In 1619, they complete the conquest of Jakarta, which they call pretentiously Batavia, in 1619. In 1621, they found a second company, the West Indies Company, which is interested in the Atlantic, in Brazil, but also, as you can see, which founds the Dutch settlement of Manhattan and fortifies it in 1625-26 and begins the exploration of the Hudson Valley. Brazil, they are present then from about the 16th